welcome to another episode of Caregiver Crossing. It's your girl, Sarah Shaddy today. Tina was busy this afternoon, so I'm just driving solo in the driver's seat. But it's a place I love to be, especially when I have wonderful guests like, the Zoom. Christie, yay!
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, doing well. So Christie, if you don't know, although a lot of people know who you are, I feel like, you're very well known in our industry and for all the best reasons. You're sweet, you are passionate, you care so much about our caregivers and our aging community. But tell us a little bit about your independent consulting company, CAREbyChristie. You do some amazing work. Tell us about what you do, and we'll go on and talk about how we can help our amazing caregivers during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, thank you so much for having me. It is an honor and a pleasure. I have loved Joy's House for a long time, so I'm happy to be here and cheering you guys on. So CarebyChristie, the care portion of that actually stands for creating a roadmap for elder care. And I have worked within the senior living community space since 2012. And I actually figured out the other day that I did it at 2 tours a day, which those in the senior space know sometimes it's way more than that in the course of a day, that I had helped over 4,400 families navigate this process by way of community representation. But typically they're coming via crisis saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know if this is the right fit, but help. And so I've kind of filtered out through that time. The situations are very common. The individuals and the families think that they're going through this by themselves, and they're not. There's so many other families that are, and there's so many resources available they don't even know exist. Mm-hmm. And so I recently kind of wrapped up my haul at Senior Living Communities style living and selling, and switched into a home care company. And then I also am able to do CarebyChristie alongside that. And so what that looks like for families, actually had one earlier this morning, and she just kind of didn't know where to start. And so this is really big picture information. It's not anything complex. It's not rocket science. It's definitely not, the end all be all, but it's starting at someone that's home and being cared for, or maybe they're home alone and needing some care, all the way through end of life, whether that is planning for that. Hospice, end of life doulas are super cool if you've not heard of those.
I've never.
Oh my God.
End of life doula?
Yes.
I had a doula for the birth of my son, which was amazing. So beginning of life.
Yes. I want to talk about that.
There was an end of life doula.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So it was an end of life doula on Instagram that I actually saw this posted, and I've seen it a couple times since then, but they're referencing, and it has resonated with me for a hot minute now, but they're referencing planning and preparing for death exactly as we do for birth.
Wow.
What do we do when people are pregnant? We have parties and we celebrate and we shower them with love and support and set them up for success and ask what they need and ask what they want and what their wishes are. Why aren't we doing that?
Absolutely.
It's going to happen.
Makes sense.
It's amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Super cool. And we have some here in Indianapolis. Like, it's a thing.
And I just love too that your model is based on that concept of a roadmap, because I think that's really there it is. Nope, that way. There it is. I love that, because I think that makes it just so much more, I don't know, just you, especially for some, I'm a very visual person. And so to think of it as a roadmap, that just feels more like chunks that I can digest more easily, rather than this just very overwhelming wall of information. It's a little bit more organized.
Absolutely. And it's two-part that, and that the purpose of this is that if you specifically are at 3/4 of the way down the road for your mom, and then your aunt is maybe halfway through the process, you're going to be able to use this roadmap time and time again to prepare you or your family to know, what do we do next? And regardless of where you are, you're going to be able to flip to that page, get your kind of big picture overview, go from there. To me, it's just something that seems less scary than Googling senior living. Like, what would you Google? What would you, and if you don't know the jargon and the vocabulary that's used within this space, nobody knows what a sniff or a CCRC, like, what are you talking about? And why are you speaking a different language?
Well, like you said, someone like you who's been in that industry and in that community for 8 years now and has helped so many families, you are connected to places that are the best fit, like Joyce House. Maybe it is somebody who could really benefit from, you know, an adult day service. Or
I have actually on, I don't know what pages it is, and I won't like rifle through, but I have the care kit as a resource on there because I love the care kit.
Oh, who doesn't love a care kit?
Everyone should have one. You get a care kit, you get a care kit. I was just over and that was real. But even adult day, like, that is just something, I think if people just understood what it was and the benefits and the amazing resource that it can be, not just for you, but for your loved one, they're going to get in there and they're going to love it and they don't want to leave. And that's, I mean, like we were just talking about, that's huge. That's like what people depend on. And so when people know the information to get started, I believe they'll get started sooner.
Absolutely. All right. So Christie, I mean, right now, unprecedented time, we're all overwhelmed. We were all, you know, had to pivot into this very scary unknown time and just very quickly adapt. And it's overwhelming for everyone, but especially anybody who's in that caregiver position. You know, they've lost resources, they've lost maybe some things that they depend on, trying to work from home, care for a loved one, you name it. So, but you're still working, you're still having conversations with caregivers. So how have those conversations changed? What kind of things are you hearing? What kinds of things are you saying to caregivers right now?
Yeah, for sure. So it's definitely, like you said, I'm kind of doing two roles at one time. And so for the home care role, I'm seeing it on both sides where people don't necessarily sometimes need our services because they're home, but in other times they need our services because they're home. And so a lot of people have even added a caregiver or added additional support to come into the home, making sure, of course, that those people are taking the right precautions and following the protocols. But our caregivers, I can only speak for us, but our caregivers are so invested in these families that they don't want to get anybody sick and they don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize themselves or our clients. And so it's been interesting to hear some people say, right now I'm okay. I'm just gonna stay at home and self-isolate and quarantine. And then there's others that are saying, I really need this. I really need somebody to come just give me a break. Let me walk around the street or just have an outlet that they maybe don't have right now. And then from the CAREbyChristie component of it, I'm just starting to get a lot of inquiries about, what do I do? You know, there's been probably a moment to reflect and a time to kind of settle in and say, this is my situation. And now, no better time to get a plan in place and know what your options are so that when we come out of this, not if, when we come out of this, we know what to do and what our loved ones' wishes were or are and how do we best act on those by having a plan in place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that would probably be your advice right now, is to use this time.
Yeah.
That plan in place.
Absolutely. And I know it's not like rainbows and butterflies and it's not like a super glamorous thing to even talk about, but it's a lot less time consuming and a lot less scary than people think simply because of the resources that are available. Without them, absolutely.
Yeah. You know, we did a podcast episode with Stacia Demos Mills, who is an elder law attorney, but she's also on the board for Joyce House. But, you know, we were talking about that because she deals with a lot of that, the legal side of that end of life planning. And I just bring her up because she said something in our podcast that was, you know, things are sometimes scary until you just speak it. Just give it a voice.
Yeah.
And when you hold it in and you overthink it, it can start to feel really daunting. But when you call up that elder law attorney, or you call up Christie to make that roadmap. Just giving those fears a voice, it suddenly, and two, you're bringing somebody else in to hold that weight with you.
Yeah.
I think that can take a lot of that scariness and that burden away.
I love that. I very much am that way, but writing. I have to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
I need to just like know that it's somewhere that's not in my head.
Right.
And when you do it, especially with fear, which is something we are all experiencing right now, I think that it is validating. It's allowing fear to be here because it's okay that it is, but it also helps shift your mindset to see, oh, when that's written down, that doesn't look nearly as scary as the monsters that I had thought that it was. It's much more attainable.
I love it. Well, Christie, we're going to wrap it up here. We so appreciate
you
taking the time to join us, and thank you so much for everything you do. Do you have any kind of last thoughts or anything or messages you'd like to send to the family givers that are out there, maybe watching? And
I want everyone to just practice some gratitude. I know that that's something it seems like not a possibility right now, but when you look around for good things, there are so many. There's so many good people and acts of kindness and love and support, and they're out there. So I encourage everyone to just take some time and look for those things, write them down, and just love one another. Be kind.
Perfect. Couldn't end the segment any better. Thank you so much, Christie.
You're so welcome.
And I hope to see you in person soon.
I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Yeah. We'll be in a room together, hopefully.
Yes. I'm probably going to shake your hand and hug you, so just wait.
I love it. I'm ready for it. All right. Thank you, Christie, and thanks, everybody, for watching. Take care. Be safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.